By the end of this video, you will know if your trucking business needs a dispatcher or not. We'll discuss the pros and cons of having a dispatcher versus dispatching yourself, and the risks of having a really bad dispatcher for your company, and why it is important to find a good dispatcher if you decided to do so. Let's dive into it. So let's jump directly to the first question of this video. Who is the dispatcher for your trucking business? So normally, the truck dispatcher is just a person or the third-party service who will find the best possible loads for you and for your business, whether you have one truck or the fleet. They will look for the best loads, negotiate the best price with the brokers, with shippers, or whatever they're negotiating with, and do all the paperwork and factoring. So this is the main job of the trucking dispatcher, to remove all this backing office and negotiating. This is endless amount of calls per day from the owner of the company and from the driver. So the driver's job is to drive the truck, and the owner's job is to make the business better and grow, right? While the trucking dispatcher can be 100% focused to make your trucks rolling and make the money for you. Now, how much does the truck dispatcher will charge your company? Whether it's a big independent dispatching services or just a single dispatcher, I saw their percentage anywhere between 2.5% up to 10%. Whereas, per my understanding, like everything above 7% is high, and below 5% is low and kind of suspicious, because why would the person charge you that low for a really hard job? No, I mean, unless you have certified trucks in your company, right? So then you can negotiate with your dispatching service to charge you less while you're providing them with the volume. So this is kind of okay. But professional dispatcher, let's just take an average, 6% of charge of the gross amount. This is okay. So just so you guys know, 6% is okay, and this service, I think, must include everything we spoke before. So looking for the load, negotiating, paperwork, factoring. So anything above that, like if we're talking about 7%, I think for 7% people need to do something more, like maybe, I don't know, safety scores tracking, how your company looks like with FMCSA, checking your safety procedures, and so on and so forth. It's just all to be discussed, right? Everything that is less than 5%, again, the charge all depends on the many factors, that affect this charge that will be applied to your company. How many trucks do you have? How professional dispatcher is, and so on. So anything that charge you less than 5%, to me is kind of, again, as I told, unless you have a lot of trucks. But if you have just one truck and someone saying, hey, I'm gonna dispatch you for 2%, and many of unexperienced carriers, of new buys, owner operators, they agree to that, and after the quality of the job they provide is really low. It's really, really low. So I know the stories when the dispatcher is booking the loads without any approval from their factoring company, and whenever the carrier delivers the load, factoring just simply does not pay for that, just because it was not approved, and the dispatcher even doesn't know how to do that, and that he has no clue what does it mean to be approved by the factoring company. So how to find the right dispatcher for your business? Well, I'll be honest with you, this is not an easy task, because unless you start doing business with this particular dispatcher or dispatching service, you don't know. Okay, so the best thing you can do is just ask questions like, what are their past performance, book of clients, is there anybody who can prove the award, who are their current customers, current carriers they are dispatching, and if they will provide some of the numbers, so you at least you can call them and ask, hey, is that guy a really good dispatcher? Is it they charge decent amount of percent and so on, whatever you might think is important to ask. So yeah, other than that, unfortunately, there is no portal, for the dispatchers where you can see all of them. They're listed with FMCSA website, right? You cannot check their DOT number because they do not have one. So let's say you found the right dispatcher. You decided to get onboarded with them and to allow this dispatching service to load your trucks. Now you negotiated the price, you agreed on scope of services and so on and so forth. But what do you need to provide the dispatcher with in order for them to start booking the loads for you? So first of all, you're gonna have what we call it's carrier packet, right? Normally, carrier packet includes, but not limited to, carrier authority letter, which is or MC authority letter or just authority letter, whatever you call it. Then we go with W-9 form and the certificate of insurance. So this is the basic 3 documents that's gonna need to be in the carrier packet. Okay, they all need to be up to date, clearly readable, preferably in PDF format. Also, the cover letter will be also preferred where you see your company name, MCDOT numbers, your address, and so on and so forth. So as many information about your company as you can to put in one single file. So this is something that every dispatcher gonna need from your side to start booking the load. Then, if you use a factoring company, this is really important to give your dispatcher the access to the portal whenever you use, any factoring company, they have a special portal, so your dispatcher or you able to check the MC number of the broker to see if this factoring company will buy your invoice for the load that you completed with this broker. It all depends on their credit score, history with this particular factoring company, and so on and so forth, but you're gonna need to check that before booking any load with any broker, especially if they pay good. You're gonna need to check this particular MC number with your factoring company. Okay, so that's important, and your dispatcher must know how to do that. So if you do not use the factoring company, my advice to you is at least to ask the dispatcher how do they check the credit score of the particular broker they are going to book the load on your behalf. Okay, so ask this question, because any dispatcher must know how to do that. If you do not use the factoring company, which is your option, okay, that's not this is not a mandatory. If you're okay with the 25, 30, 45 days waiting, that's fine. Save your money. I would advise the service called Broker Credit Check. This is useful, and also the DAT. DAT has the option with OTR Solutions. Whenever you purchase the highest DAT account, they do have this option to check the broker credit score. So let's talk about the bad dispatching services and what are the risks of hiring one. Okay, as a broker, we've seen a lot of the companies, they hiring the dispatcher, charging them 2%. And whenever you book the load with this company, the dispatcher just ghosting. Okay, you're never gonna reach him out. He will not respond his phone, he will not respond the emails, he just booked the load and just disappear. I hope until the moment you deliver the load. So that is the reason why many broker companies like ours do not work with dispatcher. Okay, I mean the third-party dispatching services. Some weird guy who just emailing you from the weird email which is not listed on Safer with FMCSA. It's just a red flag. Okay, it's just big red flag, and normally we do not work with that type of dispatching services, and we do it directly. I go straight, like, I do not work with you guys. I need the owner, or I need to see if the email which is listed with FMCSA is active, so we can proceed to do business with you. Otherwise, sorry, I'm not gonna take this risk. So, and why don't we do that? I told you that we don't do that because they're just disappearing, but that's not the biggest problem, right? So many of the dispatching services or independent dispatcher, does not really matter. So what they do, they book the load on your behalf. They sign the paperwork, they do everything. They sign the rate confirmation even. So let's say we wasted time with this dispatcher, right? And after he gets the rate con, he start calling you as the owner or the driver, doesn't matter. He start calling you and say, hey, you know what? I have this load. Do you want it? So they did not ask you before booking the load on your behalf, but they did book the load and start calling you to ask if that's okay. Well, guys, that is not okay. Why they do that? They want to catch you up. They want to say, hey, you know what? I have this load right now, right in my hand. But this is really, really bad thing. Why? Because whenever you say them, hey, I don't want this. I mean, I found something better, or other dispatcher found something better for me, so I don't want to go with this load. And then he started, telling me, you know what, owner operator does not want this load. So now we wasted 2 hours of time. We wasted the paperwork. We called our customer, said, hey, we found the carrier who is ready to do that. And in the end of the day, he just saying, we don't want to do that. So this is not acceptable. This is really bad business practices. And I can tell you many, many stories about the bad dispatchers, what they do, but just so you guys know, hiring the good dispatcher is crucial for your trucking business. Okay, because the bad dispatcher might cost you a lot of troubles, like freight guard report, and we will talk later about that more in the next videos about the freight guard report. They do a lot of paperwork fraud, like they take your paperwork, using this to double broke the load. So it just tons of stories how the bad dispatchers do that. Okay, so please be really, really careful before you hiring anyone. Speak with the person. Mark up your own red flags, which you decide it's important for you to know about the dispatcher, and know the location of the dispatcher, if he oversees or not, and stuff like that. Okay, that's just important, just so you guys know. So you might be asking me, hey Nick, why do I need to hire the dispatcher? Why do I need to waste my money? Why do I need to take this risk of hiring the bad dispatcher? Can I just self-dispatch, which is okay? Is it possible? Well, it is technically possible. Yes, you definitely can dispatch yourself. You can download the load board, the DAT truck stop, and so on. You can definitely do that, whether you're owner operator or the owner of the trucking company who has the company drivers driving on his trucks and stuff like that. Um, well, yeah, you can do that, but we're talking about the customer satisfaction here, right? So communication and literally the brokers, the shippers, receivers, they are all your customers. So whenever broker pays you money, right? Basically he is your customer. And when I'm talking about the customer satisfaction, I mean that you need to provide exceptional service. Exceptional service so this particular broker, shipper, receiver, whatever, will be willing to work with you in the future again and again, right? So how it normally happens with us, with our trucking companies, so the shippers reach out to us by themselves. They just know that we will provide exceptional service. Even when we take the load from the spot market, from other brokers, from our partners, they know they better call me directly and ask, like, hey Nick, do you have any available trucks in this area? Because I'm gonna have this and that load delivered from point A to point B, and I want you guys to do that. Why they do that? Because they know that whenever they call me or any other dispatcher or anyone, we will always answer the phone. We will always answer the email within minutes. So the communication problem is really big in this industry, okay? As I told you before about the coasting dispatchers, that happens a lot. And brokers, shippers, or whatever, they don't want to deal with it. They want to hire someone reliable enough that they know that their cargo is safe and they know 24/7 what's going on. So now about the self-dispatching. So let's say you're an owner operator who decided to save some money and not to, not to trust anyone, and you want to dispatch yourself, which is okay. So now let's say you are sitting at home, you find the right load you want to haul, you book it, you did all the paperwork, signed the Raycon, and so on. Now you picked up the load, and let's say you took this load from the broker, right? So now while you're driving, let's say you have 700 miles to drive, right? So now while you're driving, you start getting calls like every 2-3 hours from the brokers. They want your update, or they writing you the emails trying to get an update, and they start getting nervous because you are not responding to their emails because you are driving, which is totally fine, but you are lowering customer satisfaction, right? So your customer, who is the broker, is not completely satisfied with your services because you're not responding to the email. Simple, okay? Moreover, they start calling you to get an update, right? So, and you got interrupted. You're not driving anymore. You need to respond to calls, right? If you have a headset, okay, but this is still interrupting. Or whenever you do not have a headset, you're responding and you got stopped by the DOT officer and you got the violation now. Was it worth it? I don't know. And you as a truck driver, as an owner operator who drives a truck, you getting nervous as well. So your job is not that smooth as it was before, right? Because you're getting bothered by the phone calls, by the emails. You need to update someone every day and every hour, and so on and so forth. So now, let's say you delivered the load, right? Everything is okay. Load was delivered, BOL signed, you did factoring by yourself, or you send the invoice, which still requires some time and effort with your laptop or the phone, stuff like that. Sometimes you need to print something. So now you need to find the next load for you. And let's say you deliver it 5 p.m. So you empty, you're good to go, you empty and ready at 5 p.m. So, but the bad thing that the really good loads are gone. So the really good loads were booked like by noon, I would say, because as any experienced dispatcher or the business owner, they know that the best loads are normally showing up morning time, okay? And you need to be fast enough to book them, okay? So that's your best opportunities to book those loads in the morning. So, but now, what do we have in the end of the day? In the end of the day, you saved, let's say, some percentage, some 5% out of your gross, but you got bothered, you nervous, you lower your customer satisfaction. They probably don't want to work with you again because they know that it's hard to get the update from you. And now you also limited to the time of booking the load, because you cannot book the load while you're driving. This is nearly impossible, right? This is really hard. So now it's 5 p.m. Evening time, and you just scrapping the loads from the load board which are left after the sharp, after the after everything. Or maybe you got lucky and some hot load appeared. Being honest with you, from my understanding, all this hard work and all this nervous situation, all this hustle wasn't really worth it. Okay, sometimes, guys, it's much more better to pay someone to do the dirty job for you. Okay, and you just calm. Brokers might call you even while you're sleeping, right? They don't care. They just need to get an update, which is totally understandable. If you do not have any tracking or something like that, they just want to get an update. Not every broker use tracking. And also the really important thing that being the truck dispatcher is not the same as being a truck driver, right? That's completely two different things. So you might be the best truck driver in the world without any troubles. You never got any violations. You never, like, you're just excellent truck driver, okay? But that's not the same as being a dispatcher, because the dispatcher must be really communicative, okay? This is the face of your company. This is the person who is basically working with your prospect, with your future customers, and making your trucking company better in the eyes of your shipper, receiver, broker, and so on. Okay, so that is why this is important. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video to the end. Unfortunately, I can't make the decision on your behalf if you need a dispatcher or not, but I do highly appreciate the time you spent with me. Please like, comment this video below, and subscribe to the channel. This really motivates me. I hope to see you in the next videos. Thank you and have a great day.